Hey guys, welcome to my video. Today I will be reviewing Rango and looking back on it. This movie came out on March 4th of 2011, so it's over a decade old. That's a long time. In my opinion though, Rango holds up, especially the animation. In this video, I will be reviewing Rango by saying what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly about it, a format that really fits the theme, the western theme of this movie. Even if Rhino had its fair share of flaws, I still thought it was a pretty great film. To start off talking about what I thought was good about Rhino is it looked stunning. I'm not saying anything new here, like not at all. Everyone says this movie looks great, but wow. Normally I just watch movies on my phone or my iPad or tablet, whatever, but I watched Rhino on a TV and I did not regret it. The lighting is so good, everything is ridiculously detailed, and the field of view in a shot is just so good. They do a great job showing the vastness of a desert, especially from a perspective of smaller creatures. I think Rhino does a great job showing how, yeah, these guys are small. It's like a lizard, it's not as big as a human. So the cacti looked huge, it looked like trees, even if it might only be the height of a human. In this, they're tall, and I think that's really cool. I think those are nice little details that just go around, and you have to think, like, how small are the little saloons and everything? How does that work? But yeah, I just think it's so good. And I like how Rango can be a movie for anyone. It has some adult jokes here and there, but it has plenty of stuff for kids as well. This is a perfect family movie to watch, where the parents won't be falling asleep in the middle of a movie. I watched Rango with my grandma when I went to see her the other day, and she liked it, maybe even more than I did, so that just goes to show that this is a movie for anyone, because my grandma isn't a big movie person. She doesn't really like a bunch of violence and action and stuff, and Rango has some of that, but it's fine. It's great for everyone. The cast of Rhino is incredible. It has big names like Johnny Depp and Timothy Olyphant, but it has some lesser known actors who still did an amazing job. The voice acting is great, and so are the sound effects, and the music is great as well. And Rango is a pretty small movie. It's an hour and 51 minutes long, and luckily it doesn't try anything ridiculous in that time. It's a fairly point A to point B film, but that simplicity is a big strength. So many times movies try to do too much. Like Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, it did too much and it didn't leave any of it with an impact. And without going into spoilers, the pacing of this plot works with the time it has. That kind of goes to what I was saying. The main goal isn't super easy to accomplish, which is good because it makes the payoff even better. Rango spends enough time on this goal to make it feel worthwhile. And Rango doesn't have much filler too, and I'm happy it doesn't, because I feel like if the main goal is even harder to accomplish, it might have even been boring, but that just makes it easier and more worthwhile to really care about. It makes it easier to see, like, okay, wow, I care about this goal, and I think it's really good. And finally, I love the western feel of this movie. After playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I've become a pretty big fan of a western genre. Also, please play Red Dead, it's the best game ever. But Rango being a western was one of my favorite aspects of a film, and it was really the cherry on top to make this just great. To start talking about the things I didn't really like about Rango, I'll just say something that's sorta bad. It's not my least favorite thing about the movie, but to kind of transition, I'll say this. I don't like the plot twists. I won't spoil them, but they were just so predictable, especially one. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. I could see it coming from a mile away. This didn't ruin the movie for me, not at all really, but it just wasn't a good twist. You do have to keep in mind this is a movie that's catered to kids, so maybe you can cut it some slack there, but I still feel like even a kid should have seen this one coming. The worst part about this movie is the bond between Rango and others. Rango seems like he becomes a good guy too quickly, and it seems rushed. Even though I think this movie has a fine runtime, it needed to establish a better transition between Rango's life as a person's pet to a hero. They don't really touch on that enough. I feel like Rango gets in the car crash and then he ends up on the street and then the story starts. I won't spoil it, but yeah, they don't really add to that. I guess there's a little bit of a transition when Rango's shirt changes from a shirt he had as a pet to the western shirt, but still, I don't think that's enough. And also, Rango's relationship with Priscilla is rushed too. This is a slight spoiler, but somehow Priscilla becomes like a sister to Rango. They say that, and maybe I missed something, but to me that's just so random and weird, and it barely had any build up. It was like, oh, you're like family now? Oh, okay, what? But besides that, I don't buy the relationship between Rango and Beans. Like the plot twist I mentioned, the relationship between Beans and Rango is just so predictable. Starting with the very first scene where Beans was introduced, I knew what was going to happen. I won't spoil what happens, but I doubt it would even matter if I spoiled it because it's so predictable. I honestly could have gone without an entire subplot. Anyways, besides my fair share of complaints about Rango, I thought it was a great and clever movie in retrospect. I could have done without a lot of the subplots, and that's a big weakness, because the subplots are a big part of a film. And, like, the character relationships were weird, and the plot twists weren't that great. But besides that, Rango is a charming movie, with great characters and stunning animation. The character relationships might not have been that good, but the characters themselves were great. Rango's on Netflix. I highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're like me and like westerns. I rate Rango a very specific 8.2 out of 10. So, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because it really means a lot. Make sure to tell me if there are any movies or shows you'd like to see me review next, and I'll see you in the next video.